This conference will now be recorded.
Hello students, I'm Dr. Divya from TeenEinstein. So now we are learning about the fundamental unit of life. 9th standard biology 5th chapter, the fundamental unit of life. And this is the second part. So in this chapter we are discussing about living organism is made up of what? Then we know that living organisms, they are made up of cells. So that's what we are discussing first. Then what is the cell made up of? About the cell components we are going to learn. So everything about cell we are going to learn in this chapter. So here hope you remember in first part what and all we have discussed, like one activity which we have discussed, which is that onion, peeling the onion skin, then placing on a from the concave surface, that onion skin we are peeling, then placing that on a slide, first a drop of water, then on that small peel will keep, then saffronin, which is a dye that we are keeping on that, then placing that on the platform of a microscope, then watching through the eyepiece, right? Then you can see small compartment like structures. So same thing, while examining a thin slice of cork. So while examining the thin slice of cork, Robert Hooke saw that Robert Hooke, Robert Hooke, he saw honeycomb-like structures or many little compartments which are similar to a honeycomb. Okay, so what is that cork? Cork is the substance which is coming from the bark of a tree. So this in 1665, Robert Hooke saw this honeycomb-like structure which is called as cells. Okay, so that is called as cell. Cell, that is a Latin word. What do you mean by cell in Latin? Little room, a little room. Okay. But that time it was like a simple discovery. Now we cannot say that because everything starts from the cell, because now we have learned that the importance of cell and cell components, right? So this about the cells, the concept of cells that we have learned through one activity, which is that onion skin peeling, then coloring with saffronin, then watching under a microscope. So when we look through the lens, we can see honeycomb like or small compartment like structures. So what is that? They are the cells, right? So while doing the practical session, you can see the structure and you can make a simple drawing of cells from onion peel. Then another thing is invention of this magnifying lenses that led to the discovery of microscope. Okay, then we learned about single cell, importance of that single cell. See, one single cell can perform everything, that can do all main functions. So a single cell sometimes that can do everything. That is a basic unit because that can perform all functions. So single cell may constitute a whole organism, like in amoeba and all. Single cell organisms with single cell, they are called as unicellular organism, and more than one cell means they are called as multicellular organism. So a single cell forms a complete organism. For example, amoeba. Amoeba is a single cell organism, right? Then chlamydomonas, paramecium, bacteria, all these are unicellular organism. Unicellular means uni means single. Okay, so they're called as unicellular organism. Like on other hand, we can say that many cells or group of cells together that forms a body. Many cells, many or group of cells which forms a body. So that forms another organism. So sometimes single cells are performing all the functions and they are working as a organism, or they are forming an organism, a body of an organism. So unicellular organisms are there, organisms which are having single cell. Okay, these single cell can perform all the works. Then multicellular, unicellular organisms are there, multicellular organism, more than one cell means that is multicellular, many cells are there. Sometimes many cells or a group of cells are there in their body, and each group will be performing different functions. Okay, like that organisms are there. They are called as multicellular organism. So that forms different groups of cells which are performing different functions. They are forming different body parts in multicellular organism. Multi means many. So unicellular organism and unicellular and multicellular. Okay, like in some fungi, then plants, animals. All these are examples for multicellular organism. Okay. So here under microscope, we can observe this kind of structures like compartment like structures. These compartment, each structure is called as a cell. Here you can see in an onion peel, you can see many cells, right? So under microscope, if you are watching that onion peel, when it is colored with a saffronin is a dye, so that will give color, that is giving this blue color. So that if you are using, you can see this compartment like structure. This is like a honeycomb, it's somewhat similar to a honeycomb structure. So this is called as cells. Each structure is called as cell, right? So we know that living organisms are made up of cells. Living organisms are made up of cells, right? Here, some organisms, see like amoeba we said. Amoeba is a unicellular organism, right? So it is having single cell. So only one cell it is having, right? Amoeba is a unicellular organism. It is having one cell, right? So in some other organism like multicellular organism, just imagine one multicellular organism. In a multicellular organism, what we can see, different kinds of cells are there. They'll be having different types of cells. Different types of cells will be present in a multicellular organism. Okay, see, for example, You can think about a human being. Okay. So human being, just imagine in a human body, human being is a multicellular organism. So in a human being, you can see different types of cells. Okay. Different types of cells you can see in a human body. See here, some pictures you can see. In a human body, you can see different types of cells. Right? So these different types of cells are present in human body. How many types you can see? You can see here several types. Like in a human body, different types of cells. You can see all these are human cells. Here you can see bone cells. Right? In bone, this type of cells you can see. Blood cells, red blood cells, then white blood cells, then neurons you can see. Neurons. Then intestine cells. Then this is the ovum and this is a sperm. Right. So you can see different types of cells in a single organism. In human being, in human body, in a human body, you can see different types of cells. See, human being is a multicellular organism. So in a multicellular organism, you can see in a single body. See, in my body, I can see these many types of cells. Bone cells are there, red blood cells, white blood cells, then neurons are there, intestine, ovum, intestinal cells, ovum, everything will be there. Right? So these many types of cells you can see in a single human being. So here, what I'm saying is the shape and size of the cells that are related to the function. See here itself you can see bone cells, red blood cells, white blood cells, then neuron, all are having different shapes. Different shapes of cells. You need to note down. Then different sizes. Different size. The size, shape, everything varies. So that is depending upon the function. So shape and size of the cell, that depends upon function. What that cell is doing, what function it is performing. Based on that, the shape and size of the cell varies. Right? See, in amoeba, we said that is a single or unicellular organism. In amoeba, that it is a single cell, and for movement it will move. So according to the movement, cell shape changes. Okay, so according to the movement, amoeba don't have any other organ for the movement. So it is having only one single cell which is performing all the duties, all the functions. So for movement, what it will do, that cell shape is changing so that it is making the movement. So that changes the shape. So in some case, cell shape will be fixed. Okay. In some, fixed cell shape will be there. You can say fixed cell shape. Okay. But it depends upon the type of cell and function of that cell. For example, we can see this nerve cell. Okay, this is having nerve cell. They are of particular types. See, this is based on while learning in higher classes, you will be learning how your nerve cell is functioning. So that shape, that design is based on their function. Mainly it is based on their function and what work it is performing in our body. Okay. So each living cell that have the capacity to perform some basic functions in the body. Okay. So that is the characteristic of all living organisms, the basic functions. So the shape and size of a cell, that is depending upon the function that performs in the living organism. Okay. See, definitely here you will get a doubt how an organism is working. So here, an organism, especially in multicellular organism, we know that there is a division of labor. In multicellular organism, division of labor is there. Okay, there is a division of labor in multicellular organism, like in human beings and all. We said different types of cells are there in human beings. Bone cells are there, blood cells are there. These white WBC, this is RBC, red blood cells, and this is white blood cell, WBC. Neuron, nerve cells or neurons, then intestinal cells. Each and everything is having specific function. Sperm cell, ovum, everything is having specific function in multicellular organism. So that means different parts of human body performs different function. Different parts of human body does different functions. Okay. So different parts of human body performs different functions. So human body in heart, what it will do? Human body is performing different functions. You know that in a human body, different works or different functions are going on. So in that, heart is pumping blood, right? What is the function of heart? It is pumping blood, right? Stomach, what stomach will do? Or what is the function of stomach? Digestion. So here the whole body parts, they are dividing the work, right? In a body, in a human body, you can see heart, digestive system, then respiratory system is there. So each and every function is carried out by different systems, right? Respiration, that is by respiratory system. Digestion, that is by digestive system. Blood pumping, that is by circulatory system, right? And excretory system is there. So different systems are there in our body. Each and every system is performing their own function, right? So there is a division of labor. Then think about a cell, any cell in human body. That that cell in there itself, division of labor, you can see within a single cell, right? Because here we can see single cell, in a single cell itself, division of labor you can see. In that also, division of labor, it's there. Okay. So each cell has got some specific function. Means why, how it is getting? Due to specific components within that. Okay. Because of the specific cellular components. So due to specific cellular components, each kind of cell is performing its own or specific function. So these specific components which are present in the cell, these specific components are called as cell organelles. Cell organelles. Okay. Each cell organelle that functions or that performs a specific or special function. Each cell organelle is having specific function. Okay. Like specific function in the sense we can see the clearing of the waste material, then synthesizing a new material. Okay, such specific work will be there. So all these organelles, all these cell organelles together, they are making a unit, or they are together forming a basic unit which is called as the cell. Okay. See, you can see this type, see bond cells that are found in bonds, RBC and WBC. This you can see in blood, right? Neuron, nerve cells, where you can see nervous system. There you can see the nerve cells, right? Digestive system. There you can see the intestine cells. So whatever it may be, that is having, each and every type of cell is having its own function. And the cellular components, whether it is intestinal cells, whether it is bond cells, whatever may be, each cell will be having specific components, cellular components or cell organelles in that. So these cell organelles will be having their own function. So wherever it may be, each cell is having its own function. Okay, so each cell can contribute its part. So each cell can work as a basic unit. That's why cell is called as the basic unit of life. See, a group of bond cells, in that each and every cell will be having same component, but each cell will be performing its own duty. Okay, and together they are contributing a function. Okay, so there are all the cells which are found to have the same organelles, no matter what their function is, okay, or in which organism it is present, that doesn't matter. Each and every cell can work as a single unit and as a part of the system. So it is having its own contribution. Each and every cell is having its own contribution. Okay. So who discovered, here we'll get two questions from this part. Who discovered cell and how he discovered cell? That's what we said. In the first part also we explained, and here now just while telling about the summary of first part also again explained. What is that? Who discovered cell? Robert Hooke in 1665 while doing an experiment with the bark. Okay. So in that bark, that time he found compartment like structure. Okay, that is called as cell. So during his experiment, that time he found the cell. And why the cell is called as the structural and functional unit of life? Structural and functional unit of life. We said now each cell, it is having its own capacity to do specific function. And there are different types of cells. In multicellular organism, You can see different types of cells. In single cell or unicellular organism, all the functions are performed by a single cell. Okay, but in a multicellular organism, you can see group of cells and different types of cells in a single organism. In one organism itself, we can see different types of cells, and each cell or in a single group itself, you can see multiple cells and together they are performing a function. But in a group also, each cell is having specific function and it is contributing their part. Okay, and how it is doing? Each cell, inside each cell organelles are present and each cell organelle is performing its own function. Okay, so that is functioning as the basic unit of life. Which one? Cell is called as the basic unit of life because it can perform individually and as a part of a unit. Okay, so wherever it may be present, it will be having, each cell is having its own work. Clear? Then we said cells are there. In plants also cells are there, animals also cells are there. Here you can see plant cell and animal cell. We'll learn, first we will learn about the cell very clearly. Then we will differentiate, or we can see the difference between plant cell and animal cell. Okay, here the diagrams are there. You need to learn the diagram of plant cell and animal cell. Okay, this is just to understand. I gave a 3D model structure here. Here the symbol diagrams will be there. In your textbook, you can learn it very easily, plant cell and animal cell. So here you can see which are all the components of the cell. See, each cell is having special component, or it is having specific components which are called as organelles. Okay, in each cell, whether it is a plant cell or animal cell, it is having components, cell components, which are called as cell organelles. Okay, these components, cell components are called as cell organelles. So just think how a cell is organized. How the cell is organized. See, if you are watching a cell under microscope, we'll come to know that in every cell, some main features you can see. 3 features in almost every cell. 3 important features. Okay, what is that? First one is plasma membrane. Here you can see plasma membrane, cell membrane or plasma membrane. Both in plant cell and animal cell, you can see first one is cell membrane or plasma membrane. Okay, cell membrane or plasma membrane. That is the one thing. Then second one is nucleus. Both in plant cell and animal cell, you can see nucleus. Here you can see the nucleus. This is a plant cell, and in animal cell also you can see the nucleus here. This is the nucleus. So nucleus, cell membrane will be there, nucleus will be there, and the third important feature in all the cells, that is cytoplasm. Okay, rest and all may be or may not be, but these 3 will be there. These 3 are there. These are must in a cell. So the most important features in a cell, first is cell membrane or plasma membrane, then the nucleus and the cytoplasm. Whether it is an animal cell or a plant cell, you can see cell membrane or plasma membrane, the nucleus and cytoplasm. These three are must. You can see these. Okay. So due to these features or cell organelles, all activities can be taking place inside a cell. So what will be there? Cell membrane or plasma membrane, nucleus and cytoplasm. These are the main features which you can see inside the cell. Okay, cell membrane or plasma membrane, nucleus and cytoplasm. Clear? Now we need to, these are the main three important components in a cell. Cell membrane or plasma membrane. Cell membrane is otherwise called as plasma membrane. The nucleus will be there and the cytoplasm. Now, other than this, so many other cell organelles are there. We'll learn one by one. So let's start with cell membrane or plasma membrane. See, this diagram is enough. This is a plant cell structure. So you can draw like this. While drawing, it will be easy for you. Here you can see the cell membrane. This is the cell membrane. Okay. Cell membrane. So what is a cell made up of? Cell is made up of cell components, or they are called as cell organelles. Now we are going to learn about each and every cell organelle very clearly. Okay. So first one, that is plasma membrane or cell membrane. Cell membrane is otherwise called as plasma membrane. This is the first point we are learning under cell membrane. It is otherwise called as plasma membrane. And this plasma membrane, this is the outermost covering of the cell. Outermost covering of the cell. Okay, the cell membrane or plasma membrane, that is the outermost covering of the cell. See, now here this is a plant cell. That's why we need to learn the difference between plant cell and animal cell. Generally, when we are saying the outermost covering, the cell wall, it is specific for plant cells, cell wall. Okay, so when we are avoiding that part, cell wall, cell wall is giving rigidity to plant cells. So that is specific for plant cell. So that part no need to explain while explaining about a cell. So generally, the common portion starts from the cell membrane or plasma membrane. Even we are taking a cell, plant cell or animal cell, this part is there. So this cell membrane or plasma membrane is the outermost covering of a cell. Okay. So this plasma membrane, this separates. So just think about this membrane, the cell membrane. This is separating the inside and outside of the cell. That means this is separating the cell inside of the cell or the cell contents from the external environment. All cell contents are inside the plasma membrane or inside the cell membrane. Right. So inside, this is a cell membrane. Inside this, you can see all cell organelles and cell components. Right. So this cell membrane separates all the contents of the cell from external environment. Okay, so that separates all the contents of the cell from the external environment. And this plasma membrane or the cell membrane, this allows entry of, or we can say in and out movement of some materials. Entry or exit of some materials inside the cell. Okay, so this plasma membrane that allows or that permits the entry and exit of some materials in and out of the cell. And this plasma membrane or cell membrane that prevents the entry of some material or prevents the movement of some other materials. Okay, that prevents the prevents the movement of some materials. So some selected materials it is allowing inside and outside. Selected materials are there. It is not allowing the movement of all the materials in and out of the cell. It is allowing only selected material. That's why the cell membrane or plasma membrane is called as selectively permeable membrane. It allows selected materials. That allows the movement of selected material. So, plasma membrane is called as selectively permeable membrane. Plasma membrane is otherwise called as selectively permeable membrane. Okay. So, definitely we will get a doubt that how materials will move inside and outside. See, there is a cell membrane and how material will move in and out of this membrane. How is it possible? Here, the in and out movement of the cell, like some substance like carbon dioxide, some gases, gaseous material will move, liquid material will move, some solid substances will move in and out of the cell. So these are not selected. Selected materials only will get, or only those will get allowed to go inside and outside the cell. So here, when we are saying about carbon dioxide, we can say that carbon dioxide or oxygen, these can move across the cell membrane. And that process is called as diffusion. Diffusion is the movement of gaseous material, carbon dioxide, like oxygen, carbon dioxide and all, across the membrane. That is called as, across the cell membrane, these gaseous movement like oxygen, carbon dioxide and all, that process, that is by a process which is called as diffusion. Okay. So diffusion, we know what is diffusion, right? So in chemistry, you might have learned what is diffusion. So here, diffusion means there is a spontaneous movement. Spontaneous movement of substance. Spontaneous movement of a substance. And how it will move? From a region of high concentration to a region of low concentration. From high to low. See, suppose this is the cell membrane. Here carbon dioxide concentration is high. Inside, compared to outside, inside carbon dioxide concentration is low. So what will happen? From the region of higher concentration, carbon dioxide will move to the region of lower concentration. So that is called as the spontaneous movement of a substance from a region of higher concentration to a region of lower concentration. This is called as diffusion. Okay, here diffusion of carbon dioxide is taking place from higher concentration to a lower concentration. Okay, so where the higher concentration is there, from that region to the lower concentration region, it is moving. Okay, so that is the diffusion. See, this character or this feature is utilized by a cell. How? When, like, for example, we can say here, this carbon dioxide is a cellular waste. Okay, carbon dioxide is, just let me explain with this case only. Carbon dioxide is a cellular waste or the waste material or waste gas which is produced inside the cell. So how to take it out? So this carbon dioxide should go out, or that should be excreted out by the cell. Excreted out by the cell. Carbon dioxide should be excreted out by the cell. So after all these cellular processes, this carbon dioxide accumulation will be more. The concentration of carbon dioxide increases inside the cell. Right, due to all cellular processes inside the cell, carbon dioxide level is increasing because that is a cellular waste and that should go out. Okay, so that accumulates in higher concentration inside the cell. So in the external environment of the cell, the concentration of carbon dioxide, that is low when it is compared to the inside of the cell. Okay, so here the carbon dioxide inside the cell, carbon dioxide level is high due to the cellular processes, that waste material or waste gas carbon dioxide is getting accumulated. Compared to the inside condition, outside carbon dioxide concentration will be low. Compared to the inner cellular concentration, outside of the cell, carbon dioxide concentration or the level will be low. Okay, so here a difference is getting created. Inside the cell, carbon dioxide concentration is more, but outside the cell, compared to inside, outside concentration of carbon dioxide is less. So what will happen? This carbon dioxide will move inside, which is in higher concentration, that moves out of the cell from a region of higher concentration to a region of lesser concentration. So the movement, how it will move the carbon dioxide? From a region of higher concentration, it is moving to a region of lesser concentration. Carbon dioxide movement is taking place, right? So that is the process of diffusion. So by the process of diffusion, from a higher concentrated region, that carbon dioxide moving to the lower concentrated region. But here you should not get confused where the higher concentration is and where the lower concentration is. See, cellular process inside the cell, all the reactions or all the work or the processes are going on, so that the cellular waste will get increased, right? So the carbon dioxide production will be more, or concentration will be more inside the cell. So from there, here continuously it is taking place and cellular waste is increasing, carbon dioxide is increasing. Compared to inside the cell, outside the cell, carbon dioxide concentration is low. So from the higher concentrated region, that means inside the cell, to the lower concentration region. Where is that? Outside the cell. So from inside, the higher concentrated region is inside the cell. From there, carbon dioxide is coming out, where the lower concentration of carbon dioxide is seen. Outside the cell. Okay, outside the cell, I'm saying. So that process, that is called as diffusion. And same way, oxygen is entering. Here the waste is carbon dioxide, so that is getting accumulated. But oxygen is exactly opposite. From outside, oxygen is entering inside the cell. So when the level oxygen enters the cell by the process of diffusion. When the level of oxygen inside the cell is decreasing, here oxygen concentration will be low, because oxygen will get utilized while doing all the cellular processes. So that time oxygen concentration will reduce. And compared to the inside of the cell, outside oxygen concentration will be high, because inside oxygen is getting utilized continuously for different processes. So when we are comparing inside and outside of the cell, outside oxygen concentration is more. So from here again, through the same diffusion process, from the region of higher concentration of oxygen means outside the cell, then lower concentration it is moving to the lower concentrated area, that means inside the cell. Okay, it is moving through the same process, by the same process of diffusion. When the level or the concentration of oxygen inside the cell decreases, this movement is taking place. So here diffusion, here this is a cell, this is inside the cell and outside the cell. Okay, here diffusion, we are writing about oxygen diffusion from outside to inside. Carbon dioxide diffusion from inside the cell to outside. Clear? So here we can say diffusion is taking, or it is playing a very important role in the gaseous exchange between the cells. Between the cells also it is playing a very important role. Then in and out, gaseous exchange between the cells as well as the cell and its external environment. Diffusion is having major role or important in gaseous exchange of cell. So gaseous exchange in between cells, also gaseous exchange is taking place. Then within the cell to the external environment, there also gaseous exchange is taking place. Okay. Then the same way, water. For water also same condition is applied. Okay, for water also same diffusion from the higher concentrated region to the lower concentrated region. Okay, so that is the role of diffusion. Okay, so that is playing a very important role in the gaseous exchange between cells and within the cell. Within the cell means within the cell, inside the cell and the external environment, and in between cells also. Diffusion is playing very important role. Okay, so here plasma membrane, that is called as selectively permeable membrane. Clear? So we have learned about plasma membrane and the cell. In this class, next class, we'll be learning about one more concept about this membrane. Okay, so for that, we need to learn one activity. So that we'll discuss in the next class. Okay, thank you.